It was a chilly April evening in 1981, and the quiet town of Troy, Ohio, looked nothing short of picturesque. But little did anyone know that by dawn, it would be shrouded in the shadow of one of the most unsettling mysteries the region had ever witnessed. This, my friends, is the story of a crime that would baffle detectives and captivate the true crime world for nearly 4 decades. The case of the silent assassin and the murder of Marcia King. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a stretch of rural road, bordered by farmland, the air thick with the scent of freshly tilled soil. It's serene, tranquil even, until the unthinkable. A passerby spots something unnerving near a desolate path, a woman's lifeless body. She's dressed in a buckskin jacket, a piece of clothing as unique as it is haunting. Her face is bruised, her life brutally seized before she could even dream of a future. There's no ID, no purse, no name. Who was she? And more pressingly, who could have done this? The investigation began swiftly. Detectives scrambled to piece together her last moments, but their leads were sparse, almost non-existent. All they had was the jacket, a pair of jeans, and the haunting image of this unidentified victim. Newspapers referred to her as the Buckskin Girl, a name born out of the only tangible clue detectives had. And though the local community attended her funeral, grieving over someone they didn't even know, the case quickly turned cold. Decades went by with no answers, just an eerie silence. Have you ever thought about how cruel anonymity can be? In crime, it's like a second death, a stripping away of identity, of personhood. For 37 years, Buckskin Girl remained nameless, and her killer remained free. But here's where the story takes an incredible twist. Science, the ever-evolving tool of truth, finally nudged the door of this cold case open. Let me take you to the year 2018. By now, technology had taken leaps into the seemingly impossible. Forensic genealogists, modern-day detectives with microscopes for magnifying glasses, came onto the scene. They utilized a fragment of the victim's DNA and pioneered genetic genealogy, connecting her to a living relative. And that was it. The DNA didn't just reveal her name, but gave her back her story. Her name was Marcia King. She was only 21 years old. Here's how it played out. Scientists uploaded the DNA to public ancestry databases, the kind you might use to find out if you're part Scandinavian or related to someone famous. From the labyrinth of data, they traced her lineage and contacted long-lost relatives. Once a match was confirmed, Marcia King was no longer a Jane Doe. She had parents, a childhood, a life before it was abruptly stolen one April evening. But this revelation only deepened the mystery. If she was Marcia King, who could detest her enough to end her life so brutally? What had happened during those final moments that led her to that lonely road in Troy, Ohio? Let's rewind to Marcia's life. Hailing from Little Rock, Arkansas, she was described as soft-spoken but free-spirited, a wanderer with an unquenchable curiosity for life. She had ambitions, dreams, and yet an uncanny knack for finding herself at the mercy of strangers. In the weeks leading up to her death, she was spotted hitchhiking, a danger that wasn't so taboo then as it is now. But this wanderlust might have landed her in the wrong company. Someone, a silent predator, had crossed paths with her and made the decision she wouldn't see another day. Here's where things get really interesting. In recent years, with Marcia finally named, the search for her killer reignited with fervor. Investigators revisited the crime scene and raked through older evidence. A bloodstain overlooked, a fingerprint left smudged yet unnoticed. Sadly, no such revelations appeared. Could it have been an opportunistic crime? A truck driver angered by a hitchhiker's defiance, perhaps? Or was it someone from her past who sought revenge? To this day, we don't have those answers. But there's an even deeper question lingering. Why did it take more than 3 decades to identify Marcia? And what does her story say about the forgotten victims of crime? The ones buried without names, their stories stopped short, trapped in the amber of an old case file. Cases like Marcia's reveal cracks in our justice system. Back in 1981, the resources simply weren't there. The trail went cold, not because of apathy, but because of the limits of technology at that time. Yet, it also raises an unsettling thought. How many Buckskin Girls or John Does are out there, locked away in countless evidence lockers? How many killers walk free simply because science hasn't caught up yet? Marcia King's case shook the state of Ohio, inspiring pushes for more advanced DNA use in investigations. With each breakthrough in genetic genealogy, her story has become a rallying cry to not let names and faces fall through the cracks. And while her killer remains at large, the investigators working on her case urge us not to lose hope. After all, cases once believed impossible to solve are now being cracked wide open years, even decades later. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and think, what if justice still hasn't caught up? What if the silent assassin, the person who left Marcia's body alone on that country road, is watching right now? Is this their reckoning? Does Marcia's identification haunt them the same way her death haunts us? Before we conclude, let's reflect on the tragic irony of Marcia's youthful vibrancy meeting such a grim end. Some might say her story feels incomplete, an unfinished chapter in an unending book. But isn't that why we tell it? To give voice to the silenced, to push for answers when none seem possible. The advancements that identified Marcia also present new questions, urgent ones. How do we use this power responsibly? And how do we ensure we're not just solving cases, but honoring the lives at their center? Her story compels us to confront these issues because every step toward justice counts, not just for Marcia, but for everyone like her. And there you have it. Marcia King, known once as the Buckskin Girl, is no longer anonymous. But even as her name is reclaimed, her story is far from over. Her memories echo through the fields of Ohio, her life a cautionary tale, and a testament to the determination of those who refuse to give up. If this story left you moved or infuriated, make sure to subscribe, because it's stories like these that remind us how crucial it is to keep digging, keep questioning, and keep fighting for answers. Until next time, stay curious, and most importantly, stay vigilant.